Got you. Here we go.
The Beat 139. Featuring Doc, Don Vito, and Keith Cash.
What's up? We back.
Number
Back.
one show.
We
Second guest
back.
of the day.
Second guest. Introduce the guest. Keith Cash.
Oh, we got the lovely Jester.
Jester's in the building. She's a poet. She's an artist. She's creative. And she is a young queen that embracing our show tonight. And we're going to get her story before we get into her music, okay? So, Jester, how are you? Good to meet you.
Great to meet you too.
Good to see you.
Hey, Jester.
Hi.
So, tell everybody where you're from and how you grew up, where you was living at.
So I'm from Brooklyn, born and raised.
Brooklyn in the building. Okay, Brooklyn.
Yes, my ethnicity is Puerto Rican Dominican, and I'm very new to the music scene. You know, I've been a performer my whole life, but I've always done material that was handed to me. I've been heavily involved in musical theater and other like freelance performances. And one day I just decided, you know, I have a sense of rhythm. I have a sense of lyricism. I'm a writer. And I just sat down, wrote a song. It was good. And from there, I just kind of kept going, you know?
Okay. So let me ask you a question. So before we get into that, so you say you're from Brooklyn. So how was life growing up as a little kid in Brooklyn?
I think life as a kid growing up in Brooklyn was nice. You know, I take everything that was handed to me and I make something positive out of it. You know, I love my life. I enjoy my life. I've had
That's
hardships, but
That's
who
beautiful
doesn't,
to
you
hear.
know?
So what did you do as a young girl? Were you like a cheerleader? Was you in the Girl Scouts? What did you do? What was your interest?
I was actually very, very tomboyish as a kid. I was still discovering myself. I was still learning the world, learning who I was. I was very socially outcasted. All of my interests were, you know, objectively different. Nowadays, the things that I like are considered mainstream. You know, things like anime, Vocaloid, gaming, the works. You know, but as a kid, I was very, very isolated. So I didn't have traditional hobbies. I kind of just indulged in my interests. It wasn't until well, like I said, like I was a performer my whole life, so I did get into like singing, dancing, acting, writing as a little kid, but I didn't really get like involved in things like performing until I was much older. I started like learning how to audition. I started finding more opportunities like in school and in the community. So yeah, I mean, my life came with its hardships. You know, I was still learning how to like myself, how to appreciate the world around me because I was surrounded by so much questionable things. But yeah, as I learned the world and as I learned myself, I grew to like appreciate everything around me, and I grew to really indulge myself and invest myself more in the things that I care about, that I'm passionate about. So yeah.
So when you say questionable things, what do you mean by that?
Things like bullying, witnessing violence in the community, you know, things like that. Like it sounds abnormal to anyone who hasn't lived it, but obviously I think most people who
So what
live
part of Brooklyn you grew up in?
I grew up in Crown Heights.
Crown Heights, part of it is a little wild too.
Yeah.
So you said bullying. Did you get bullied a lot?
Yeah, because like I said, I was very like socially outcasted.
Mhm.
I was kind of weird, you know. But like now that I'm an adult and I look back on it, I do feel like, you know, bullies, they did wrong things, but we were all kids. Like I haven't seen these people in a really long time.
Mhm.
So I honestly hope the best for them. They
That's
were
a
probably
good mindset
confused.
to have.
So how did you? Because this is important, right? Because I got a little son, 12, about to be 13, right? And you always at a certain age, you got to. The bullies is coming. You know, they
Yeah.
coming for young girls and they coming from young guys, young boys. So how did you handle? What was your remedy for the bullying? How long did it go on?
I'm gonna be so honest. I don't know exactly what is appropriate to say on a show like this.
You can say
and
anything you want to say, as long as you
I
ain't talking
think-
about killing nobody or nothing like that.
I think in the most respectful way possible, the way I handled my situation was not the example that I would advise any young person to live by. But as an older person, I would want to send a message to all of the younger people that you know, as long as you're someone who doesn't want to hurt anybody else, and as long as you're someone with you know, like pure intentions, it doesn't matter if you're objectively different. It doesn't matter if you're, you know, weird. Like if no one else loves you, I love you at the very least.
Well, you
there
keep
go.
saying older person. How old are you?
I'm 20.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So, all right. So you came up. You were interested in music as a young girl. You say you didn't really take action as you got older. So while you didn't, while you was trying to learn and find yourself, what did you do as far as academically, or what did you do activity wise in between that?
Well, academically, I was like a straight A student. I was very studious.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Shout out to the straight A students. 100%. That's big.
Aside from academics, I did mention that I was really into anime. I was into like music, gaming, things that kind of subverted the mainstream at the time. Nowadays, these things are considered mainstream, which, ironically enough, did kind of create a strange dilemma with me. It's very, very similar to like when you grow up as like the ugly kid, and then you have like that glow up, and then all of a sudden everyone acts like, you know, they treat you the way they would treat attractive people, but you're so used to being the ugly kid.
Yo,
But
you heard what she said? Real
The
quick, I
glow
had
up,
to
right?
cut you off because she's saying some clever stuff, but y'all might not be listening. She said the grow up
To the glow up.
as a not attractive kid to the glow up.
Yeah.
You understand? Now look at me now, huh?
yeah, so
Talk
like
about it. That's what I'm talking
it's
about.
just funny because my interests as a kid were ostracized and very shunned because that wasn't the mainstream at the time, but now it is. So and because of the fact that it's so mainstream, it feels almost as if I wasn't weird enough as a kid. But honestly, I've come to really accept the things I've been through. I've come to accept where I am now. I don't need to be so niche that I stand out against everyone else. Like, I like what I like, and if people like things that I don't know about or don't care about, that's fine. That's great. Like, things exist for the purpose of liking them. So as long as stuff isn't harmful, it's not hurting anybody, just like what you like. Like, it is weird. It was very strange having to adjust to the things that I was bullied for suddenly becoming the things that are like praised. But honestly, like, you know, I've made amends with it. I've made peace with it, and I'm really happy. I'm really happy that I can freely like the things that I like. Some of the things are still you know, a little strange, but honestly, I love myself, so I don't really care what people say. I like what I like, and I'm really happy that a lot of people are free to like what they like as well now.
And that's all that really matters. That's all that really counts. You know, you come first. You got to love yourself before you can love anyone else.
Absolutely.
You understand? It sounds like you got your head in the right place. But I want to ask you a question that something you touched on earlier, because you know we like the story. So you said your parents were Puerto Rican and Dominican.
Yes.
So who was Puerto Rican?
My mother.
Your mom's Puerto Rican, your dad is Dominican.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Because growing up as a little kid, I know some Puerto Ricans didn't like Dominicans. They used to always be at each other.
You know, there's like a strange dilemma that I've noticed with a lot of racism. As a
Yeah.
kid, I was always very private about my Dominican identity because of the racism I've experienced. I experienced a lot of racism for being, you know, a brown person in general, and for having the features that I have, like a big nose, my almond-shaped eyes, the not very straight hair, because a lot of people would straighten their hair in the early 2000s. You know, I experienced a lot of racism in general, but also like even to this day, when people find out that I'm Dominican, like they fetishize Puerto Ricans so much that it's a little more acceptable to introduce myself as a Puerto Rican person. But growing
Wow.
up, if people knew that I was Dominican, it was always met with, "Ew, I fucking hate Dominicans." Am I allowed to curse?
Wow. Yes, yes.
Okay, yes. So,
It's okay.
so even to this day, I still experience that, and so I was always very private about my Dominican side until, you know, one day I was out, and there was a guy flirting with me. He was just asking like, "Oh, what's your ethnicity?" And I said, "Oh, I'm Puerto Rican." He was like, "Well, clearly you're mixed." And I was like, "Okay, whatever. I'm Dominican." And he immediately, "Ew, I freaking hate Dominicans." And I was like, "That's fucking rude." Like, I wasn't interested in the first place,
right.
but why would you think that that was gonna make me interested? You're not fucking funny. You're just weird.
That's
And
rude.
like ever since, it really like opened my eyes that like, why do I
Mm.
care if people are racist to me? My identity is not going to change regardless of if you like me. So you might as well know from the get-go so that I'll know if you're racist. If
Let
you're
me explain
racist, I
something
don't
to
have
you.
to fuck with you.
Let me explain something to you, Jester, to come to your defense. We all mix with something. Don't get it twisted. Ain't one person out here is just that.
We're
You
all
not
mixed
just
because-
black. You black in something. You white in something. You Spanish in something. You Asian in something. If you go down the history and do your history, we all mix with something. I'm French Indian. You understand what I'm saying? But I'm labeled as an African American, and I'm African American. But my descendants is French Indian. We all mixed with something. Y'all keep that racism stuff to yourself. We don't accept that on the B139
Nah, but it's a
at
beautiful
all.
thing that she can actually wake up one day and realize exactly who she is.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
And be proud of it.
Take ownership of
That's
it.
right.
So from this point on, you always take heed to letting people know exactly who you are. It helps in real life because the separation from the peoples that you don't need to be around, you separate real early.
You know, on the flip side, I did mention earlier that because of the fact that it was more acceptable to be Puerto Rican as opposed to Dominican, I was more open about my Puerto Rican identity. But I also mentioned that it's considered more acceptable because Puerto Ricans are very, very fetishized because they're closer to whiteness than most people of color. But because of the fetishization, like mostly as a kid, I didn't quite understand why that was wrong because of my internal hatred and a lot of the racism I experienced. So a lot of the times when it came to sexualization and fetishization, I often took it as a compliment because I hated myself so much that it was just like, well, you know, if you like me so much to be attracted to me in that way, then that's a good thing. But as an adult, especially as a woman of color, I would definitely want to say to all of the viewers that, you know, you're beautiful. You don't need people to say that you're sexy or alluring or exotic. Like, you're beautiful and you deserve someone who calls you pretty, you know, looks into your eyes and says you're pretty, not looking at your tits and saying, yeah, I like that.
But this is what these young girls need to hear. They need to hear something like that.
That's right, especially it coming
guess
from
what?
you at your age.
That's a testimony.
Yep.
You know, when you say that you hated yourself, remember you have a mother and a father, two different nationalities.
And I know you mentioned earlier how, like, you can't achieve love until you learn to love yourself. And I do believe that that is a good like motivation to learn to love yourself, because self-love is one of the most important things that you can have. It's one of the most powerful tools that you can have in your life, because if you love yourself, no one can take that away from you because
Right.
you're you. But I would also say that, a lot of my life I spent I hated myself. I was miserable and I was so blinded by my misery. I didn't realize that I did have so much love. My mother loved me. She would do anything for me. My dad, he loved and adored me. I had my hardships, but my parents would go to the ends of the earth for me. I had people who cared about me. Even now I have my low moments, but I have people like who would die for me. And so it's like, even if you hate yourself, even if you're miserable, even if you're depressed, like, there are people who love you. You're still worthy and deserving of love. You just need to learn to love yourself so that you can recognize the love that's around you.
That's right. We got to clap on that too. That's deep. That's powerful.
And it's real.
Y'all young people that's watching, even the older people should, take heed and listen to what she's saying, because there's a lot of people who struggle with that, still to the day. And they need to hear this message, especially coming from a young lady like her, who's very smart, intelligent, and she weathered the storms coming up as a little kid, and she's strong and she's bold and she's beautiful, and she's making a career out of her life. So let's talk about your career, right? So you're a poet, you're a singer.
Yeah, I've been a singer my whole life. Vocally, I identify myself as like a mezzo soprano. I'm very versatile in my range. I'm very like flexible in the styles that I work with, because a lot of the shows that I've been in and a lot of my experience have all, been very different styles. So when I write my own music, I try to be very flexible. I try not to put myself in a box, because I just, as of right now, my music isn't my career. I would like to make a career out of it. But because of the fact that I'm not dependent on public opinions of my music, I make music for myself. I make music based on what I like, what I'm into. And I really like music. And I don't want to be in just one category of music, because I love music. I love it as like a broad spectrum. And I want to be a part of all of that.
So how do you figure you're going to fit in to this system? You know that it's a system that's going on within the music
There is
industry.
a system. And I honestly, I kind of want to change that system, because I don't want to be in a box to appease the masses. I don't need to appease the masses to be an artist or a musician. I am a musician.
All right, so you had vocal training?
No, not professionally.
So, but you train yourself.
Yes, I'm entirely self-taught.
Let me tell you something. Times has changed. Hear me out. You don't have to have vocal training professional. You can teach yourself. A lot of things that we do right now, we are self-taught.
Yes.
Because there's so much information, avenues to find shit. Google, YouTube. You don't know how to cook a steak, you can YouTube it and learn it.
Yes,
you need some information about medicine, you Google it. You got it. So for you to teach yourself is a beautiful thing, because a lot of things that I've learned throughout the last 5 years is self-taught. You know, I didn't learn from nobody, but I got it. So now I just want to let the viewers hear one of your poetry, or one of your songs, like you just sing a little verse to something to see your talents. And then later on in the show, we're gonna play one of our instrumentals, and she's gonna sing off of that. And we want to show her talents right now because she's ready to go.
Beat 139.
Yes.
I think a really important disclaimer before I start my performance is that I am not a producer. I'm a lyricist and a singer. So all of these instrumentals that I use for my songs are instrumentals that are free to use online. That's how I started getting into this. I have producers giving me their works for me to jump on their tracks, and I work with that. So I wanted to lay that out there so that I'm not like accused of stealing or anything. I am not a fraud.
So
I take ownership for what I do.
Instrumentals registered?
What do you mean?
Well, do they belong to anyone?
No, so they're free for use, free for profit. I just have to credit the person. If I wanted to profit off of these, I would have to buy ownership of these, which I don't currently have. But these are free for nonprofit use.
Okay. How you feel about that, Jay? No, but I'm saying we all right with playing the salsa music you talking about?
We just asked the question
Okay.
because of YouTube guidelines.
Yeah, we don't want you.
That's it.
We don't want
you
you
won't,
to get flagged.
You won't get flagged. As
All
long
right,
as
so can you give us some acapella right quick?
Of the songs that I'm about to do?
No, just something real quick that they ain't got nothing to do with that. Just to show somebody your vocal range or your something that's is a win as soon as you say it.
Okay.
I don't mean to put you on the spot, but it's the B139. We just want to see your talent. You ain't got to go long. Just a little snippet, and then we're gonna go to one of the instrumentals.
Okay.
Let me see.
That was very unexpected, but honestly, my go-to is like that riff from like Rent, Seasons of Love. So I'll just do like that one little part.
Let's hear it. It's all right.
We want you to be comfortable in what you do.
We want the viewers to check you out.
Okay. You've got to remember the love. You know that love is a gift from up above. Share love, give love, spread your love. Measure your life in love.
Whoa. Oh, we ain't got no glass in here, right? We ain't breaking no glasses up in this joint, right? Whoa, that picture's like Mariah Carey. I think your days might be numbered, baby.
Thank you.
Okay, Jay, you got a little instrumental for it? That was great.
Thank you.
I knew you had it. I just want to pull it out.
So this first song that I wrote is called Lolita, and before you play it, I just want to explain the intention behind it, because without explanation, it may come off very strange. So the song is the lyrics behind it are very, very satirical, which means that they are written to poke fun at a normality. So basically, the intention behind the song is to address the pedophilic beauty standards in Western culture. The style of it is very reminiscent of Britney Spears, who was a victim of sexualization at an early age. And it's supposed to address the issues with that and how normalized it is. That's why these lyrics are so absurd, but in like a mocking way. So with that said, I'm ready to start.
Got it, Jay? Put up a little louder, Jay. Oh, okay. Encore. We got Jester in the building, you heard? We got Jester. We dropping bombs for Jester. You heard?
Jester, who inspired you? Because I don't hear no mainstream person in you.
I don't think I have a specific inspiration. I treat my songwriting the same way I treat drawing, in the sense that, like, if I like artists, I'll kind of like learn what their pattern for songwriting or singing is, and I'll include like really small elements of that. Like that's just how I learn. But I try not to copy or take too much influence from any particular person, because I want to be recognized for my own sound.
But when you initially started singing, who was it that you was a fan of?
When I first started singing, I was like really, really young. So I don't think I really took anyone specific that inspired me. Honestly, I think the reason I started singing as a kid is just because I really liked like cartoons and Disney movies, and I just liked the songs and I would learn them. And as a songwriter, when I first started, again, I'm really, really new to the scene. So when I first started, it really was honestly just because I could. I don't think there was anyone in particular that I heard, thought of, and was like, I want to be that person. Like, no, I was just like, I'm listening to this thing, and I was like, I could write some stuff to this, and then I did, and I was like, oh, that was easy. I could just keep doing that.
The music it sounds kind of like it's not the ordinary sound that you hear. You understand? This is how it's coming across. I'm trying to get it out right. It's not the ordinary sound that you hear, but it's catchy, it's refreshing, has a nice pop to it.
A really big part of
You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like it had me like.
I think the way she rides,
you know
the way she rides,
you know,
the
it's
beat,
like it got a nice little pop to it, you know, and her voice is so.
it's strong.
It's not just strong.
It's clear.
You might not. He asked you a question. You might not have nobody in your vision, but you get up high like Mariah Carey in some of the pictures. Like that note is hard, but you make it look easy.
Like I mentioned,
effortless. You know what I'm saying?
I mentioned earlier that
you have great vocals.
Thank you. I mentioned earlier that I'm a mezzo soprano.
Yeah.
And I wanted to say that like a big part of my process when I'm writing songs is that usually I like to look for instrumentals first, because when I listen to instrumentals, I treat the main melody as like a separate thing, and I write the melody with like a harmonic tune, so that the vocals and the melodies like contrast but like complement each other. But a really important thing is that I try not to grab instrumentals that I feel like a lot of people are using or looking at, because I don't want to, write a song and then a million people have written their own song with the same instrumental. Not only that, but I also like to, use works from like smaller creators, smaller producers, so that if any of my songs ever did become really popular, it gives these smaller creators a chance to also be heard.
Well, you're starting at a ripe age, 20. You look younger than that. That's cool.
Thank you.
And also, what I was going to say, so you have management?
Yes, I do. I'm with the company Reapa LLC, Spit That Pain. So yeah, I often go to their events. It's run by Molana Randell. She's amazing. She's given me the opportunity to perform at so many events. I met someone behind the scenes here at the parade that I performed at. I also met you there.
Yes.
So
the
that's how I
parade.
ended up here. So
Right.
yeah, I'm with Reapa.
Okay, cool. The reason why I say that because in order, get signed, you have to have management. You have to
Yeah.
have a team, pretty much.
I am hoping to get signed like with an agency because I do want to start monetizing on my work.
Mhm.
With Reapa, I'm more freelance, but I am still very, very grateful and very enthusiastic about it because, regardless of what comes of it, at the end of the day, she is giving me a platform and it's brought me to so many places and I've met so many people and I've expanded so much more than I ever could have on my own with Reapa. So I'm very, very grateful. But
Shout out to Reapa.
I do
Shout out
want
to
to
Reapa.
elevate. Yes, big shout out to Reapa.
Big shout out to
Believe it or
Reapa.
not, you have a platform. Things that you talked about here today, a lot of young women and young men are going through the same thing. They
Yes.
thought that they were weird, and now the weird situation is the norm.
And they also going through being bullied,
Yeah.
and they surpassed that and survived and kept, they focus on, their dreams and hopes and desires.
So I have one more song that I wanted to do, if that's okay.
Yes, it is.
So my
Jay,
next
we got the song, Jay. Yeah, we got you.
So before we start, I want to explain this one as well because
Talk
this one
about
is
it.
also a little bit political. So this next song that I wrote is called Ouroboros, and if any of the viewers are unfamiliar with what the Ouroboros is, it's a symbol of a snake in a circle because it's eating its tail, and it's like an infinite loop of self-deceit and turmoil. It represents infinity, but it also represents suffering. And the reason I call this Ouroboros is because this song is very, very dark. It's very, very political. It addresses the state of the world today regarding the ethnic cleansings and genocides happening. It addresses performative activism that I've seen on social media. And it addresses how we are honestly killing ourselves by neglecting the world around us. So honestly, okay, for the viewers, honestly, like a big trigger warning for the song because it is very, very heavy, very unapologetic with the subject matter. So if you're very sensitive, then that's something to just be aware of. But at the same time, acknowledge your sensitivity. Understand that you have the privilege to look away, while the things that I'm addressing is the reality for people who cannot look away. So with that said, I'm ready to start.
Okay, here we go. What's it?
It's called Ouroboros.
Here we go. Y'all listen in.
CJ Nonsense.
Y'all know what it is. 3139. Here we go. Blood on the wall, blood on the earth, blood on our hands and feet. Not just because I fear, because nature was created that way. Circle of life, right here, that was always it's like, this is because the whole, some people call it suffering, but I feel life on earth, you know what's suffering. Still, I find it suffering. I haven't died, I find myself in I'm so sorry for what they did, how it all ended. I see so many people today focus on the wrong things that instead of talking about who's got the best what, let's talk about Sudan. Sudan needs our help. They've been in humanitarian crisis. Their people are dying.
CJ
Y'all are so quick to
nonsense.
say pro-Palestine bullshit. Y'all don't even boycott properly. If you really cared, you talk about hate. Come to Tibet to the Native Americans begging for help on their own land. The politics scared. Let's take a look at France. They revolutionized for the sake of a better living. They banded together. They do what they do. Their blood God. Just behind the shop, 6-year-old victim is Alice. Starved in her car for days on end next to the body of her parents. Could have been saved. Help was on the way, but Israel treated her like a trillion. They slaughtered her.
CJ Johnson.
The fundamentals of goddamn. Open your eyes. This is peaceful blind for you. Selfish. Remember this. When war meets the West and we're the ones crying, nobody is gonna listen.
Hey, okay. Jester, y'all. Y'all clap your hands for Jester. Jester. I don't know if that's a song. I don't know if that's a testimony or if that's poetry, but I know damn well it's very deep and very powerful. You know?
Thank you.
You know, you're talking some real stuff in there, and it's totally different. So your style, the way you coming out, whoever signs you, they got a real talented artist on their hands. I want to
Thank you.
Yes,
You're
talent.
welcome.
That's what it is. You're not just a singer. You have talent. You know what I'm
Thank
saying?
you.
And I don't want you to keep making caveat to like explaining to people to tell them this is what's going on. You said that you wanted to be different. This is there to be different. You have to speak your truth. And the people
noticed that a lot of artists that discuss the modern day events that are happening. I don't know if it's just me expecting more, but I do feel like a lot of artists tend to play it safe. Like they'll be singing and then they'll just have like one line paying homage to the modern day where they say things like the earth is so hot or yeah, we're at war. And it's like, thank you for acknowledging that, but you're not really saying anything. You're kind of just speaking the obvious. This is I was writing things that, keep me up at night. Things that are happening and people just treat it like something they can turn off because it's not affecting them. And it bothered me so much that I think so much that I had to be very, very strong with my words.
But let me tell you something. When you're in the music industry, you have to understand that certain peoples are censored. The label censor them. The label tells them to do it. I'm sure that they start out the same way that you start out.
I'm sure too, but that's why I feel like uprising artists, smaller artists, like we need to keep the flame alive because it's like large corporations, large companies, people who are so blinded by fame, like they're so afraid of losing what they have that they're too scared to acknowledge what everyone's lost.
Well, they're over with now because you have YouTube. We have all major streaming platforms. You don't even have to go through that. Like you literally can say what you want to say and put your thing up on YouTube. The very second.
That's what we're doing right now.
Yes.
Yep. So your music and your talent. See, I could see you like maybe on the pop chart, and also could see you in a movie. Not as an actress, but as when you see a scene come on and you heard that music, I'm thinking of theater right there. You understand what I'm saying? Real theatrical. And then the way you were speaking, your words, your energy, in what you believe to be just, when it came across with the melody of the music, I felt like I was in like a theater or something. Or
I do have a long history with musical theater, so I am an actress. And that's where I learned to emote my voice with passion and intention.
Yeah. So you got a lot of ways to be successful and be famous, because you could do radio, you could do theater, and you could do television. You know what I'm saying? Like you have a talent.
That's what we're going to call. That's what we're going to call you, Jester. Talent.
Thank you.
Talent. Yeah, she has talent, man.
You have talent, and you're going to be able to maneuver well because you know exactly what you want to do. It's clear that you watch the news. You're well educated. Do what you set out to do. Put your foot down.
Thank you.
Yeah. You definitely
your
have
ass off.
You got to work hard for it, because there's a lot of competition out there. But to be honest with you, the lane that you in is you don't hear this too often. this is like a gift. It's like a gifted type of lane where everybody is not ready to get in that lane. They don't have that type of spirit.
So yeah,
This is spiritual right here, man.
yep. So what
You know?
we need you to do is, you already have the talent. So now it's the business side of it. You have to pay attention to the business side. In order for you to actually get your message out, you need to pay attention to the business side.
So is there anything that you got going on that the viewers don't know about that's coming up?
I'm not sure if I've mentioned, but I do make flyers. I'm an artist, so I do that on commission. I have my I don't see
Yeah,
the
because I
paper
saw
here.
some on your Instagram page. It's a bunch of artwork.
Yeah, so
Yeah, it's a bunch of artwork.
my Instagram for my artwork is xhandycandyx, and my Instagram for where I post my
Put that up,
music.
Jay.
Oh, yes, please. And my Instagram for where and my Instagram for where I post my music is Lil Baby
Thank you, Jay.
Songbird. Yeah. Thank you so much. But yeah, so you can look into my work from there on Lil Baby Songbird. I'll keep everyone posted on like what events I have going on, because I'm very frequently performing live, usually in Harlem because I'm with Reapa. And yeah.
So are you a graphic designer?
Yes, I'm a graphic designer, but I'm also a visual artist. So
Right.
like I draw.
Right. Because I've seen a lot of great work on your page, you know. So y'all need to follow her Instagram page. It's Handy Candy, correct?
Yeah, X Handy Candy X.
X Handy Candy X. And the other one is what?
Lil Baby
Little
Songbird.
Baby Songbird.
Little Baby Songbird. So, Jester, before you go, can you tell them what's the #1 show in Harlem right now?
Beat 139.
There it is. Let's
There
go.
it
That's
is.
right. The Beat 139.